And it says live. Morning, Brian.
Right. Well, happy Thursday. Good morning.
I like your shirt.
You like that?
Mm-hmm.
I got that from Kai Nix up at, I think it was convention, at the Guys doTERRA thing. He was throwing them out to the crowd.
Terra Muscle, I'm a member. I'm representing my lady tribe. Quarantine strong. Life is good. Yeah, there's a group of us. Some of us are a little older dancers, but hanging together, doing our happy hours every single week.
Supporting each other, keeping each other encouraged.
Yeah, from staying strong to some are introverts. Myself, I'm an extrovert. You'd be amazed how many entertainers are introverts. But yes, I am. I like people.
Well, how do you define introvert?
I'm not a doctor, but you know what?
What?
I know who can.
Oh,
at least a lot better than me. So let's jump in. I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Brian.
That's Brian. Carson. We work with doTERRA essential oils, and we've been friends for 26 years. And so we're just chatting today. Most specifically, we chat every morning, every Thursday at 10 a.m. And today we're talking about stress, relationships, all over this, going on the internet. There's a divide, but we got to pull that divide together. Try not to be too mean to each other, right? Opinions are important. Everybody's got a voice, but let everybody have a voice without squashing them, without hurting it. And we're kind of jumping back into the world, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
Back and forth because we're doing this hopscotch with opening up. How are we going to deal with these relationships, these people that we've been fighting with online? Now we're going to be seeing face to face, right? Mm-hmm. That's like when you send that drunk text in the middle of the night. You're like, oh, I don't know if that was such a good idea, man. So smarter than Brian and I. I'm smarter. Brian and I together are pretty smart. But our guest today, we are.
We know our limitations. We know our limitations.
You surround yourself with a good community. And in our community today is Donna Wilburn. Donna Wilburn is a marriage and family counselor therapist. Somebody I should probably see more often. I do see her, but we're usually at a bar when we chat. And Brian is just meeting her. So we're going to bring her on. You ready for this, Brian?
I am ready.
Look at... There we go.
Lord, Donna.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Donna.
Hi.
What are you drinking this morning?
I'm like feeding the chickens and watering the garden. Typical quarantine behavior. Got my schedule going on.
How many chickens do you have?
I have one. Named Margaret. She's like 4 years old.
My oldest is Rocky. Rocky's about 4 years old.
Oh, so I say I'm her emotional support person. If she gets stressed or nervous, she likes to jump up and cuddle with her emotional support person. So we have a letter. I have to accompany her everywhere. That's kind of a thing.
Does she take you on flights?
Yeah. I got to bring people can bring their animals. I guess I got to bring me Margaret. She can't be without me.
What are you drinking this morning, Donna?
I am drinking my, sparkling ice promo. Here's an ad. I drink a lot of those.
This will be the first time we're actually drinking
non-alcoholic
beverages together.
I'm like, you're totally giving away my side persona. The fun I like to have.
This coffee talk is sponsored by Sparkling Ice.
Hey,
I'll do a commercial.
Brian has just met you, so he's going to be like the people that see you as professional everywhere. And I'm the one who's going to have to mute because I'll be like, oh, Don, remember when we were at that fireman auction?
And like we were dancing and there was like guys. Yeah, we don't want to say it. I have to look incredible.
Looking lost.
Yeah. He'll be like,
I'm going to keep drinking this, but we would love if you just kind of jump in first and lead our discussion. We're going to have comments. I can see that Joaquin Ayala said, hi, guys. Hi, Joaquin. Try to follow comments, and we hope that everybody gets interactive. But we're going to discuss, like we said, some relationships and which you are an expert on. So tell us about yourself and tell us what you think.
All right. So first of all, I've been doing marriage and family therapy for like 20 years now, which is a shocker because it doesn't feel like that. That's what happens when you love what you do. 20 years doesn't feel like anything. I'm like, I can go another like 50, right? So been doing that for a long time. And then here comes this quarantine pandemic stuff. It was hard enough for some relationships to function when they had time away from each other. But then we get this pandemic happening, and here they are, these people stuck together in the house 24/7. So stress did go up. And I do have to say, like with this opening up and people starting to get out and about, the coping, the holding it together has loosened. And now I have quite the full schedule, I have to say, like super busy. So talking about this, I have to tell you, I'm a big fan of essential oils. I've been using them the whole time I'm a therapist. I have a diffuser in my office. I use whatever I can to help somebody relax, because the more calm they are, the better they share, the better their empathy works, the better they can access certain feelings and be able to talk about those feelings. So I use it as a tool in my office. Okay. And then I work with children a lot, and I'm what I call a medication last resort therapist. So I like to try whatever I can before resorting to suggesting medicine, and essential oils is in that toolbox, because like there's a lot of research about it. And when you learn about how the brain works, you realize that this is an effective tool. So can I share something? I was researching something yesterday.
You can share anything you want. Brian and I are
brain. So, all right, this is going to be a little maybe wordy. So when looking at the brain is your learning organ. It learns. That's what it does. That's its job, is to learn. And learning means you retained the experience, you use that experience, and you bring up the memory of that experience if you need to. Okay, so like riding a bike, you learn it, you experience it, and then you retain it, and the next time you get on a bike, you use that. Okay, so your brain retains every single thing you've ever experienced, and all your senses retain that. So let's say I had, a really good experience in Disneyland when I was young, and I had the Dole Whip, and it was so good. If I have a Dole Whip again, my brain will remember that, and I'll taste it, and my brain remembers that moment, and I smell it, and my brain remembers that moment, and it will also bring up the feelings of that moment, which are positive feelings, because I was enjoying the Dole Whip. So when using essential oils, you can trigger feelings that are positive for someone. Let's say I'm having a bad day, right? And I tell people, manage your thoughts, manage your thoughts. It's about what you think. If you want to have a better day, have thoughts in your head that are positive, but that's really, really hard for people, okay? Well, what oils does is it triggers those positive feelings, even if you can't manage your thoughts, because it's an automatic nose to brain memory of a positive experience. So let's say I am having a bad day, I'll get my doTERRA essential Dole Whip smell and put that in my, and I'll smell it, and it will override this crappy thoughts I'm having and bring up those positive feelings. So those oils, for people who have a hard time managing their thoughts, having certain aromas, certain oils can trigger your brain to have positive, relaxing, calming feelings, even if you're having a hard time controlling your thoughts. So that's why I use it seriously every day. I'm using oils every day.
That is fascinating.
And so you can like bring up different, it's calm and relaxing. I feel like I'm going to give you guys this big psychological lecture. Just one more point. All right.
Do it.
When the brain is stressing, in stress mode, it doesn't function well. Okay. Memory goes out the window. Emotional regulation, like being able to react appropriately, goes out the window. Retaining information. If you guys, anyone has test anxiety, you like can't access your memory and your learning when you're stressing. Empathy goes out the window. So you're not going to be a really good relationship partner when you're stressed out, because your brain just does not work that way. Okay. Mm-hmm. But if you can calm and relax the brain, calm and relax it, then you can actually be able to relate to your partner and empathize and understand and communicate from a calm place, which is way better in a relationship. So as all these people are like spazzing out right now, this is a really good time to use whatever tool you can to calm that brain down, because you need to be calm right now.
Is that why they tell people to count to 10?
Because it gives you breathing. And you know how they say, like, breathe, take a deep breath, because that triggers the relaxing response, the relaxation response in your brain is that deep breathing. And look at when you have your aromatherapy, what do you do when you come across like a positive smell? Do you just like ignore it, or do you go,
yeah,
it smells? And right there, you're triggering the calm down system in your brain.
Perfect. Hey, let me ask you a quick question. When you say you actually will diffuse that when you're with people, do you let them pick it out as well? Like have them smell it and say, oh, this is something that really would be good for me during this discussion? Or do you kind of just throw it on there? And
right. So I have some oils and I have a diffuser. And so I typically pick the ones of the day, but I do take into consideration who I have that day. So let's say I have some really anxious people that day, then I'll use the, like the lavender and the calm ones. And then let's say I have children who need to focus. So then I'll use maybe some more citrus and grapefruit, things like that help energize and keep their brain like, come on, let's stay on track here.
Oh, good.
So I choose them in the morning, but I do have some clients that really don't like certain aromas, and so I have to also take that into consideration, and if they're coming in that day, I don't use that one.
Awesome.
Let me ask you a question about you and what's best. I mean, obviously there's a divide. Obviously we've got people on that are separating for many reasons, for political reasons, for race reasons, for a mask reason, and we're sort of going back together. And before I was talking about, what we're having to face that person. Mm-hmm. And we're having to face, now that we're opening back up again, there's so many things of like facing the drug text, or people that are going back to work to support their family, but they're scared to death because they're going into, they don't know what. And you're like the canary going into the cave. We're like, we hope you guys are okay because I'm still furloughed. I mean, how can, other than essential oils, what are some tools what are you finding? Without obviously naming names, unless you want to.
Yeah, right. I can, so thinking about we've had a lot of people under a lot of stress right now. And I do have to say our society is not very good about teaching stress management and coping skills. We really, it should be in school by like third grade, you should be teaching breathing and coping and relaxing and things like that, but we don't. And so our society, if we did, I probably wouldn't be so busy. So our society doesn't really teach that. So we have a lot of people who've been really stressed out. And when you're stressed out, let's say to cope, you drink, or you just get really cranky and then you're texting and being rude. The healthiest thing to do would be to own that, to say, you know what, I need to say that was not cool. I shouldn't have said those things. And I am going to try not to do that. But when you apologize, you have to also commit to change. You can't just say, oh, sorry, and then do it over again, and then, oh, sorry, and then do it again, and then, oh, sorry. You have to commit to change. And so that brings in what are you doing to keep your stress, I call it a thermometer, to keep your stress thermometer down. What are you doing to keep your brain cooled off? Because if you let it overheat again, you're going to be mean and rude. And that's what we have out there right now, is a lot of stressed out people exploding because they don't have good coping skills. And if you look, there's a lot of females out there that are not behaving very well. I say a stressed out person behaves in an unhealthy way. And there's a lot of females, because when you're coped in the house, females are really codependent. We think we got to do everything. We got to homeschool. We got to do this. We got to do that. We got to keep the house. We got to manage the relationship. We got to feed them like 3 times a day, blah, 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 blah. And so I think what I'm seeing right now is codependent females overwhelmed with stress, exploding. And it's embarrassing because they're females and they're really mean, hence the Karen term. But like,
I mean, I'll be honest with you. I am on a page that I think it's called like Karen's of whatever. And I just watch it for entertainment because I'm thinking, this can't be real.
You're nasty.
I'm like, you cannot be really saying these. Somebody's in your face with a camera. And I'm like, there's got to be some shutdown on your brain that has stopped good sense to think this is okay because finally you've got a voice or finally you're out there and is this stress. And how do we not contain the anger as much as just learn to cope with it? Because what you said with coping skills, I recently, because I've got now great nieces and nephews that are in schools and I see videos, I'm like, that's fabulous. They're teaching their kids how to meditate. I'm like, that's not anything I did, right. But I also had art and I had music and I had dance and I had sports that maybe that was an outlet. And the kids, if they don't have that, they're getting balled up and everybody's getting bunched up. And it's fascinating in a sick kind of like watching a car accident way, thinking, what in the world is going on? Somebody's got to see this and flip the light on eventually.
So remember when I was saying when the brain is stressed out, it doesn't work well. So compassion and empathy are brain functions, but when you're stressed, you don't really have those. So the person in front of you, you don't have empathy. You don't even really feel for them as a human being. So you're more likely to, if you have to attack them. Have you guys seen that video of the lady who's like holding a gun to somebody? And she's like holding a gun in her, she got out of her car. It's like in a parking lot and someone's videoing her. And she's like posed like she's like ready to shoot with that gun. She just got arrested recently. It was on yesterday and today. Well, I'm looking at that. There's a guy in the car who's driving the car. It's the woman out there with the gun being nuts like she's going to shoot somebody.
Wow.
That is not necessarily the stereotypical norm, but that's what's happening right now is there's a lot of really, really stressed out females who, when you're stressed out, you don't have empathy. You don't have that compassion. You don't have that love for your fellow human being. So you can hurt them. You
how do we
get like that?
How do we fix that, Donna?
Okay. A magical spell over everybody, or like use your diffuser over the world and calm everybody down. How about that? Because people need to calm down. So let's say someone's like that in front of you, and you come across an angry hater person. Well, staying calm would be humongous because you getting emotional is just going to escalate. It's like gasoline on a fire.
Mm-hmm.
Someone across from you or around you is getting into that high stress, irrational state. Here's the secret. They call it low and slow, and I learned it from emergency room nurses. If you talk low and slow and say, it's fine, you're stressed out, I got it, okay, let's just walk away. If you talk low and slow, it diffuses the situation. But if you're going to get upset back, someone's like mad at you and you get mad at them, then it just escalates and it can get crazy. But if you don't want it to get crazy, then don't get crazy. Stay calm.
I always say it takes a bomb to get me in a bad mood. I'm a happy person. Sometimes it's annoying. I'm a morning person, but when it goes, it is quick and it is dangerous. It is curt. But I can't stay in a bad mood and I forget things. But I will go in, I will slice quick and I will get out. But I got to say, when I'm in that point, if somebody said, okay, I'd find a gun.
No, you wouldn't. No, you wouldn't. If you're in that state and they're like, all right, I get it. You're stressed out. I hear you. You'd be like, that's right, I am. And then they'd be like, all right, what do we need to do? What do we need to do? And
I learned from my mom. She said there's nothing more powerful than a sincere apology. You will never diffuse anything faster than a sincere apology. And this is my personal relationship. So Joaquin and I, we had a question today for the first time. He's like, you're right. I shouldn't have. I'm really sorry. Oh, you're right. And I was like,
yeah. What do you do with that? You're
I was prepped, but and then it was like completely gone.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to look like a crazy person if you keep going. You're going to be like, he already apologized, like totally sincere. If I go crazy, it's going to be really weird.
Then I'm the asshole, right? Yeah. All right.
I was going to say, Stephanie, I've never seen you like that. So that you sharing that story kind of makes me realize, yeah, I've never seen you in a position where you're angry or whatever. So I guess that would be, Donna, are you seeing a lot more people in that situation and state now? And do you find that you're able to really make some good headway with them and dealing with these kinds of feelings that they've really probably felt like they had control over in the past, but now it's just too much?
I am seeing a lot of overwhelmed people right now. I really am. It's people who were able to handle things and cope and communicate and still have a functioning brain are not doing so well right now. And, there's a lot of it is because no matter how nice your cage is, you're still locked in a cage and you know it. And so you can try to make it as cushy as you want, but it's still uncomfortable knowing that you can't do what you want to do when you want to do it.
Yeah.
That you don't have that freedom. And it's a subconscious thing. When you take away someone's freedom, it triggers this automatic stress reaction. That's happening across the world.
Yes.
I have 2 kids. Benjamin, my oldest, is autistic, so he's with me, and he hates the coronavirus. He's very vocal. I posted a video about him he's like, it's just stupid, and he doesn't get a lot of it, but he's very clean in his thoughts. And my daughter is out in it, trying, she's a gig worker, she's a dancer, and she gets tested a lot because her boyfriend is in the Army. So there's a lot of exposure. So she's constant. She called me this morning. She's like, I'm good. I'm like, all right. So I've got to trust that she's out. But both of my kids are adults. Brian is the father of 3. One is an adult. The other 2 are, little girl's been an adult since she was 3. But how are you doing? What can you say about kids getting, online? Although I've seen adults act worse online than kids. I'll be honest with you. But how are they coping, dealing with that?
They're not acting that bad, but I have a lot of nervous ones. I just got in trouble from a parent the other day because I was doing the 6-foot rule, but I didn't have my mask on in my office. So, but I was far away, but they're like, we need to keep the mask on. So here I am doing therapy with little kids with masks on, and it's just not quite the same. So I'm thinking I'm going to have to go back to more video. But kids don't have the same processing that adults do, and they don't have the same ability to think with the bigger picture. So what they see in their home is their world. Yeah. And if the family is stressing, I had another one, it's a really nervous family. And so everybody in the home, including the children, are way more anxious right now. So I tell parents, like, I understand being nervous and all, but if you can not really show that so much around the children and not act so nervous around the children so that they aren't over anxious, can you keep your anxiety down around them? Because that's what they're using to gauge. And so I remember like a few months ago, I had a little tiny one in, and they were like, I was like, what's your nervous moment? Because I asked them, something makes you happy, something makes you whatever. What's making you nervous? I could get corona and die. And they were like under 5. And I was like, oh, goodness, why are we telling them this?
Yeah.
That's what you want a little tiny person to have in their head. So you got to be careful around kids, how you share information.
Yeah.
Your kid, what's going on with your kids, Brian?
So, I've got 3. So I got 2 boys, 19, 16, and then a 15-year-old. My 16-year-old boy. He's going to be 17 here in a month or so. So they're older. They're older teenagers. And the one thing with Natalie and I, the fact that we have a pretty stable home, and we're blessed for that. And we actually looked at this as a blessing, not that something we wanted, but it's like, hey, we're all together. Let's hang out. We'll learn together. We'll bond and so forth. But I know some families don't have that structure and that support. And it's a lot of personal development we've been doing. So we've been able to really focus on some of the positives. But even in our house, you start seeing things, and people have shorter triggers and shorter just patience, right? And what we've found is they're talking to their friends, and their friends are either really high or really like calm as well. And I found it seems like a lot of the stress, and how, I just want to know if this is something that how you have come across this, and I think you already said this, but it seems like the stress is really coming from the adults and the parents and the news and everything else down to them. And they're, if it wasn't for that, they'd be like, hey, so what? We're at home.
Right. So I do see that. And I see adults sharing either too much information or too much of their opinion and not as much factual. And then I have it on the other extreme where you have people not taking it seriously at all, whose kids are going out and about, and I say kids are the barometer of the household. So whatever adults and parents are doing is gonna be what your kids are doing and feeling. Okay, so like you did, like you were saying, focus on the positive, make the best of it. That absolutely. Not whining and complaining, not trying to, overdo on bad habits and things like that, trying to stay healthy. And that's surviving. That's coping. Mm-hmm. It's still stressful, but you'll make it through without all the unnecessary side effects by doing that. For the people who aren't stressing and coping, the divorce courts are going crazy right now. Right. Separation. That's where a lot of my clients come from. I work with court a lot because I work with the kids of these lovelies so much. And I've got accusations of flying, like drama up. So the people not using the healthy, positive stress management, things like that. But like you were saying, it is how the parents handle it is going to be how the kids handle it.
Wow.
How has, curiosity, because I should be drinking tea right now. I'm super blessed. A few years ago, because you get older, and I thought I'm just going to downsize. I moved out to Pahrump to be near my dad. We lost our mom, and my sister's next door. My other sister's less than a mile away, to be next to family. And everybody thought I was crazy, and I think I thought I was a little crazy too. So got a little ranch out here, and without really thinking about it, we were halfway through. I think we froze a little bit. If you froze, if you can hear us, you pop back out, pop back in. Let me see. I'll grab her back. I was not realizing how much I was blessed in that way, to have the space, because this is 2.5 acres. So if Joaquin and I are driving, or Benjamin and I are driving each other nuts, you've got like all this space. And you, Brian, you've got a big, beautiful house, but the yard is smaller. How are you guys coping if you need to be back and forth?
Yeah, and that's a very good point. I'm sure that you probably look back saying, gosh, if you were in your townhome, was it a townhome? Is that where you were, like your Vegas location? Had you not moved out to Pahrump, man, how stressful would that have been? I'm
trying to find her again. Yeah, I was thinking about that, and how blessed are you? Look at me, I'm the third person. How blessed we were, because just about last year, when we let go of the townhome, we had a townhome in Vegas. We thought we don't need it. It was a rental. They were going to sell it. And I'm like, I don't want to buy it. So we came out here full time. And then when this all happened, it was probably about a month and a half in, and I realized, well, that's probably a huge reason why I'm not so stressed. Because if all of us were stuck in that townhome, we might be up in the same courts that Donna was just talking about. Donna, we're going to try to grab her back, by the way. She froze, and as soon as I see her, I'll bring her back in. But
yeah,
how are you
doing that? I'll tell you what, the other thing that probably saved you was the fact you do live on a ranch, meaning you have animals to take care of. You got hobbies, you got things that you can do out there to keep you busy and keep your mind moving and so forth. And I've known so many people that have built gyms in their garages, or, they bought all the exercise equipment. And so they're trying to make do. And the fact that you had that ranch, or you have the ranch, is, oh my gosh, it has to be amazing. The fact that I have a big house, and I'm looking right outside my window. There's a trail and a park right behind me. Although the equipment you can't use, you could still walk. And so that's the one thing that my family and we've been able to do, is just we get out there and we're able to at least get away. I can see what's happening in some of these larger cities where people have been, they don't have this kind of recreation and so forth. So I can understand why people got pent up just stress. And Donna's back. Hello.
I'm going to put you back in the middle for a second. There we go. Okay. For the record, you froze in a very sweet spot.
Yes.
Hold on. I want to make sure we can hear you.
Did I have a cute face? Like,
it was just like that. It was beautiful.
That is always me. I tease my niece because she's just beautiful, and she'd freeze in just like this ethereal look, and I freeze like.
I know, right? You're like,
Anyway, we were talking about being confined and how Brian, he tries to make sure the family's out. And I was blessed because being on a large property, you go out to the shop, you go out to the containers, we can get away from each other. So for those people that aren't getting away from each other, and I know that a concern was physical abuse and emotional abuse, dealing with people that were home and stressed and out of work. Is that a lot of something that you're saying? And how can we be, at least if that's not our story, aware of that? Is there anything we can do? I mean, we're not licensed, so
yeah.
Maybe it's best
so owning your own stress is one big thing, is owning your own stress and making sure you aren't letting yourself get so intense that you're going to hurt someone or something. But another is reading the person in front of you. If someone is escalating and getting really upset, that's not when you continue to push their buttons. That's not when you keep the conversation going. I have a rule with my families that no talking above a 5. If you're escalating and getting emotional, your brain just is not going to work right. You are not going to be logical, rational. You're not going to be compassionate. So that is not when you want to be communicating. So if you feel yourself or you notice the other person is escalating, it's time to take a break. And you know how many times I hear, like, I try to walk away and they don't let me walk away. And so a lot of violence wouldn't be happening if you let the person walk away.
Yeah.
That's
I
a
was
big
thinking about that.
away, right?
Is that to that other person, is that just saying you're not listening to me, instead of saying I'm doing you a favor? I'm taking a minute. I'm going to leave, and then they'll be chasing you down. Don't be that chaser.
Right. No.
Yeah. If I can share a little bit on that too, because, people just get emotional, and especially when you feel attacked or so forth. And one of the things that we did is we found that happening. But what we started doing is, hey, when we started stepping back saying, okay, how do we address this when it does come up? And it might be literally, hey, and this discussion has to happen when it's not in the heat of the battle, but before or after, when you're learning. And it's like, hey, in this situation, if I get into a point where I don't feel like I'm controlling my emotions, I'm either going to let you know I need to step away. And so when you have that agreement before that event happens, I think that's so critical, because you can't, at the moment of the heat of the battle, you can't just, okay, well, I got to step away, because if you haven't had that agreement to say, okay, I'm stepping away, and then the conscious mind never kicks in. It's just fight or flight. And so the person that you're leaving is like, well, you can't leave like that. And so it's that agreement. It seems like you'd have to have well in advance or outside of that stressful situation to say, here's how we should deal with this. Is that kind of a
right? It is. And so, yeah, talking about how are we going to handle when we escalate and how am I going to handle it? There's a difference between taking a time out and abandoning someone in the middle of their emotional situation. Mm-hmm. So
I think we're about to freeze again.
I would say, you know, I call it have a code frozen.
No, you're back.
Frozen.
But you're back.
Okay, so having a code word or something like that is really important. Let me see. I have like somebody at my door.
Oh,
they're like, let me in. My farmer is here.
Oh, all right. Well, we'll let you go. But I really, really appreciate your insight and you visiting with us today.
Okay.
So, and I hope I see you soon over that wine again.
And if anyone needs, I know, right? As soon as we can have like some together time, that would be great. But if anyone needs help, I'm a talker. So they can Facebook message me or text me or email me. You know, it doesn't have to be they see me as a counselor, but I can maybe help find somebody for them or whatever. I believe that we really need to share our stories and talk to each other and support each other. And I'm not going to be just, oh, I'll be a counselor if you pay me. I'm not going to be like that. So please, if anyone needs help, that just reach out and ask.
And it's Donna Wilburn, and she's on Facebook, just as Donna Wilburn,
Still
right?
There?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yes. I'm froze. I'm froze. I'm done.
Okay. But we'll find out, and I'll talk to you soon.
It was so nice to meet you, Donna. Thank you so much for your information.
Nice to meet you too. Bye.
Okay.
Wow, that was great. I love it.
Amazing?
Oh, she's so great.
My martini therapist. When you have issues, she's solid. And I love so much that she's not a medication first therapist or counselor.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's just so hard. And we've had people in our lives that I'm trying to be as compliant as possible that are on some medication that they don't necessarily need to be always.
Yeah.
And they either get off on their own, which is also not smart, or they get addicted to it. And the worst happens.
Yeah. Well, and you and I both believe, I mean, through all this research we've been doing and all this journey of doTERRA, that, you know, we can't mask the problems that we are having, either physically, mentally, or spiritually. We gotta deal with them. And I feel that the body, from a physical standpoint, can heal itself if you give it what it needs. And I think the same thing with the emotions. You can't just mask it with something. You have to deal with it. Now, that's probably the hardest thing, but I do know that we've seen a ton of people that have really been able to use at least the essential oils to really ground themselves so that they can then take those safe steps down, understanding and clarification of what's going on in their lives. It's not the end all be all, but it literally is. It's a way that people can, at least for me, for instance, I use the adaptive quite a bit, and I've been using a lot of it lately. And for those who haven't heard this story, my son has huge anxiety over homework, right? And so he was getting so upset one day, and we gave him adaptive, and it literally just put his mind into a comfort that he could say, he's like, oh my gosh, you know what? I can attack this. I can do this. But it's the same thing with so much other drama that people are having in their lives. Turning to this calms your brain down so you don't go to that step that is past the point of, you know, redemption, or just you don't want to ever say anything or do anything that's going to leave lasting regret or shame or so forth. It's controlling that. And so I know I've turned the essential oils. I think you have as well, right?
Oh yeah. And I think shame is a big deal. And I told you my son, most of you know that my son is autistic, and he was born in 1888 when the autism boom happened, and there wasn't a lot of understanding. And so people just knew there was something wrong. And even to this day, he makes some people nervous just because he's different. But I have been so blessed to work with a lot of parents, and I wish I had these oils in my arsenal when I was working with them then.
Yeah.
Because it was rare with Benjamin, and now there's 63% of all boys born are, on the spectrum. But they are so unwilling to accept something might be wrong. Let's fix it, instead of there's nothing wrong. Your first line of defense is being defensive.
Yeah.
You're not. I used to teach Shelby, I'm like, when that monthly time comes, it's okay. It's not your fault. You got hormones that are going crazy. You need to sleep, baby. We're going to sleep. You need to cry. We're going to cry. But I need you to understand why it is you're doing it.
Yeah.
And to this point, I'll still get a call from her, and she's like very upset. She's like, I know what it is. I'm like, that's okay. That's okay. It's okay if you're feeling this way, as long as we understand this is why. It's okay. I've had, discussions with Joaquin. I'm like, I'm really upset, and I know I'm wrong. I just can't not be upset right now. And then and it's okay to be silly or embarrassed or to not be ashamed of that, because once you push that back and push that back and push that back is when you get to that point where then you're like, you think your only option is medication, because there is a quick fix. Because you're right. Every organ in our body is built to heal itself. We're just getting in the way. So for doTERRA, every day I take my vitamins, no matter what. I took a lesson from you, and I take a shot of lemon, lavender, and peppermint. I don't even have any seasonal threats every single morning, and that just opens me up. It wakes me up, and it's like a burst, that cold water on your face without having to deal with cold water on your face. Excellent. And I didn't realize how you're stuffy just from laying down all night. When you wake up in the morning, that sort of slows you down. Now it's like hit the ground running. So there's so many things that we can allow our bodies to do. So now my body's not trying to get rid of the phlegm. Now my body's not trying to get a jump start. I've already given it the vitamins. I've already given it, an open airway. So it's like, okay, let's face the day, because we've got some scary stuff to face out there.
Yeah. And, one of the great things, I used to feel just completely helpless when I would hear someone's story of, man, I'm just stressed out. I don't know what's going on. I can't deal with it. I'm just, and I used to feel just helpless. I'm a very empathetic person. And so I would listen, but I always wanted to do something. And the one thing is we've been blessed to be able to help people, turn them to something that might be something that it helps their lives and gives them a much, much more value in their life. And one of those things are these studies that we do. So we've done, we do these studies. It's called a New Day study, or it's a stress. We just basically provide samples to people to let them, experience it, experience these oils, experience how they can ground you, experience how they can help you control your emotions. And we've had I don't have the numbers in front of me, but probably 95 to 94% of the people that have done this have had very positive outcomes and stories to share. And so that's one thing that we do. And one of the things on our Rev Up Wellness group page, that's where we send a lot of information on this. And so if you're listening to this now, and this is something you'd like to try, if you're dealing with stress, if you know someone who is, and we all do, reach out to us. We want to help you. We want to, provide you something that is safe, effective, cheaper to share, because, this is going to be very tricky. This is not going to be an easy year. It's not going to be an easy couple years as people come off of this. And as we get back to our normal lives, we're going to see Donna's being the most critical thing in this society, is helping people recover from this emotional thing that's been going on.
We're not talking about Karen's. We're talking about Donna's, the helper.
We need Donnas.
Be a Donna.
We need Karens. We want some Donnas. But no, I mean, so with that being said, if you know Stephanie and if you know me, just reach out to us. We want to get you plugged in. We'll let us plug you into these studies that we do.
Well, we've got that at the end of starting in like in a couple of weeks, right?
Yeah,
and
we've got one starting at the end of July, and so reach out to us. We've got one starting. We want to give you guys an answer. We want to give you guys some kind of path or some kind of path so you don't feel trapped, because this is going to feel bad. And I know I've been feeling a lot of stress, and I feel pretty well adapted.
Get it? Adaptive.
And I've got stress. So
you're adaptive. Okay, so what we're doing as a team, we're Team Revolution. Obviously, we've talked, Brian and I would do this every Thursday morning. But as Brian talked, we're going to do these studies coming up. We will provide the oils for free. If, I think we may ask for help for shipping, because we're going to be sending out a lot of oils, but we'll provide all the oils for free. This is for someone starting to feel, if you've got sleep issues, pain issues, stress issues. There was another one. Digestive. Any of those 4 issues, if you're like, and you're not on any kind of medication, because you want to make sure, especially for stress, that you discuss with your doctor.
Yeah.
Because you can't go off, there's some medications you just don't go off of. And we're not doctors. We're not here to heal, cure, treat disease. That's not what we do. We work with only doTERRA certified pure therapeutic grade essential oils. They're adjustable. They're a medicinal grade. And we'll get into all of that because we teach online classes.
Yep.
So if you want to be a part of a class, please let us know. If you would like to be a part of our study that's starting what day, Brian?
I think it's going to be starting on July 22nd.
July 22nd. It's 7 days, right?
Yep.
Again, so let us know if you'd like to be a part of the study. We'll provide this stuff for you. And then we'll go through, you'll join a Facebook page. You will answer a questionnaire and commit to these 7 days that you're going to take whatever, because we're paying to send it to you. We would love for you to be a part of the study.
Yeah.
You don't have to buy them. If this works out for you, then please go into it. But story after story after story that we can tell you over and over for sleep, for stress, for pain, for digestive issues. I just had a friend who was in the last adaptive study, and that's the oil that Brian was holding up. It's a proprietary blend for anxious feelings that doTERRA has. We had an adaptive study, and my friend Michelle, I'm calling you out, Michelle, she got the stuff like 3 days early. She just started taking it. And like the first day she was calling me and saying, this is amazing. I'm like, wait, it doesn't. I gave up. She went rogue, and she was like, boom, signed up. She's got her stuff, and she's on a daily. It helped her immediately with stress, immediately with digestion. And she's at home with kids, and her son is autistic as well. His symptoms are far more severe than Benj. So there's a higher stress level there. Benjamin right now, other than eating too many Pop-Tarts. He takes better care of me than I take care of him. I tell you that. Gets bed at night before I go to bed, turns off all the lights, telling me I'm wasting power, makes sure I have a mask when I leave the house. He's hilarious. But anyway.
Yeah, that's such a great story. And that's the great thing is, if you're ready to take control of this, jump on. It's pretty easy. It's fun. But yeah, you just have to make that commitment to say, you know what, I just want to try something new. I don't want to turn to the pharmaceuticals if I don't have to. If I already have one, and you said that great. We are not doctors. We're not recommending any of that kind of stuff. We're not giving you guys that kind of approach. But literally, it's one of those things that, for the most part, you can try this with anything you're using. If you already are taking something, or if you're not, this stuff will help regardless. But what I'm hoping it'll do is it'll dissuade people from that have mild stuff that they can personally deal with to take control themselves instead of going down that path.
Well said, brother. Look, we all kind of dressed alike today.
I love it. See?
Visionary. That's right. Team Revolution. What? Well, thanks so much, guys, for hanging out. We made it under an hour today. We usually try not to go over an hour. We say it's going to be 45 minutes, but that never works. And we'll be back next Thursday at 10 a.m., right?
Yep.
And we hope you see there. Please leave comments below, wherever below is, and we'll put some links for the study if you'd like to be part of our study and have any interest in essential oils whatsoever. And if you have topics you think you would like to see, please drop that into. Right on?
All right on. Hey, great job. That was so much fun today. And thanks for setting up Donna for joining us. I mean, she was amazing, and I can see why you guys have a good connection. So
all right, man. Peace out. We'll see you next week.
See you guys.
Brian, where is it? Cheers.
Cheers.